Hi everyone, I'm Jossif and welcome to the Box of Inspirations show. I'm so glad to have my amazing friend with me here today, Esther Kish. Esther is the founder of Born to Influence, a publicity firm specializing in helping experts and personal brands get more publicity, leads, and sales. She has a big network of experts and influencers and had clients featured on TV, magazines, and on some of the top podcasts out there. She's also the host of Born to Influence, the marketing show, where she interviews highly successful entrepreneurs and New York Times best-selling authors about their marketing and publicity strategies. So Esther, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you. And in this interview, we will focus on connecting with influencers, how to do that, what to have in mind. And we'll also talk about joint ventures. But first, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about yourself and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm a very curious person. So I'm somebody who moved around a lot from country to country. Literally, this is country number 7 where I live right now in the US. And everything that I've tried my hand at in the past, marketing and business development that I've been doing for 16 years, acting, investments, all of it feeds into what I do today, which is basically figuring out where are the win-win scenarios for everyone. So, whether it's putting together a JV deal or matching somebody up with interview opportunities, it's really just finding who has a message or something cool to share that would be a good fit for this other person or their audience.
And I love that because that means you can easily find out what you really want to do and what you love to do. And yeah, as you said, you have a lot of experience, especially when it comes to connecting with influencers and experts and all that stuff. And it would be wrong not to start with the first interaction itself. Do you get a lot of daily emails from people you don't know at all, asking you to connect with you or for introductions?
Sometimes I get those types of emails and messages. I wouldn't say that it's on a daily basis, but most people reach out to me because they want to connect and without asking necessarily for an introduction. I think it has to do with me sharing the message over and over again on podcasts and social media that you really have to lead with a spirit of generosity and giving. So for the most part, people who reach out to me come with the intention of actually offering to help me in some way, which of course then in turn sparks the question of, hey, how can I help you?
Yeah, that's a perfect way to start the interaction with an influencer you want to connect with or you need some help from. And we all know that everyone is talking about this, about giving value first and not only asking for something in return, but how can we do this before we approach an influencer?
Well, number one is a mindset. You gotta make sure that you don't feel like this other person is up here because they're more accomplished than you and you are down here. And it's like, oh my gosh, looking up at that person. Yeah. Because if you do that, you position yourself as a fanboy or a fangirl and they cannot possibly feel comfortable with you. They will always see you as one of those wannabes. Like for instance, if you go to an event and there are the speakers and they do a great job with their presentation, everybody rushes up to them and they want to talk to them. And sometimes, it's nice for them because they do business that way and certainly they get clients. But if you want to connect with the same speaker, you got to stand out. So either you set it up, for instance, ahead of time, inviting them for dinner or lunch way before even the conference started, or just don't be part of that crowd because it's just not going to do you any good. The social media is the same. When you reach out to someone online and you want to connect with them, you got to do it in a way where your positioning is right. And I get this question a lot, especially from people who are just starting out, like, what can I really offer? I'm just starting. I don't know exactly how I could contribute to this person. If you have the mindset of they're just a human being and they actually have problems and fears and desires that you could you could help them with and you could contribute to their life in some way, you will be creative enough to find a way. Whether it's reading up on their social media profiles or their blogs, you know maybe that they're going to a certain city and they're looking for restaurant recommendations, or they're moving and they need a new school for their kids. Like anything that you could help with that doesn't even necessarily fall into their area of expertise, you'll set yourself apart.
Has this happened to you, the fanboy or fangirl situation, and how did you handle it in the best way possible?
Just being kind to people when they are approaching, in a way that it feels like they're a fanboy or fangirl. I appreciate it and I'm flattered, but it's a very strange dynamic to manage, because I really like to feel like I'm friends with everyone and I talk to them and I don't see people in this hierarchical way. And it just really doesn't do them any good to feel like they have to somehow, quote unquote, perform or put on an act to be accepted. Knowing your own value and owning who you are is the key.
And is it a difference between having this situation online and having this happening to you in a live event with someone you are talking to face to face?
You feel it just the same online. You feel the energy and the intentions. If you don't think that you're just as good of a person as this other one, the influencer, they can feel it through your emails or your messages.
Perfect. So if you're someone trying to reach out to an influencer, try to kind of step up to the same level and talk to them like they are your friends, or especially, or they won't be your someone you look up to that much that you are a fanboy or a fangirl. And the same goes offline. So if you try to reach out to an influencer and connect with them, try to step up to the same level and talk to them as you do with your friends online.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean, not to acknowledge them for their accomplishments or nag them, or, you obviously want to be respectful, but don't feel like they're a bigger person than you.
Exactly. That's perfectly said. Mm-hmm. And joint ventures are obviously a good way of giving value and creating win-win situations. Have you had some good joint venture experiences, and what stood out from those ones?
What I find with joint ventures is it's critical to make sure that it actually benefits both people. If both of the experts have a very similar skill set and therefore they have similar audiences as well, but their offers are competitive with each other, it's not the best idea to put together that as a JV deal, unless, they are putting together a program that, let's say, they are both teaching and they co-own that thing. That's one thing. But to promote, let's just say I'm teaching publicity. I wouldn't probably have another person who is teaching publicity to do a JV with me, unless it was to a specific segment of my list who I made several offers to and they didn't buy. Maybe they will resonate with this person. So one thing is compatibility, making sure that you have similar audiences and complementary offers to each other. And then the other thing is, what's your timeline? What are your expectations? When you're seeking out JV partners, do you know your conversion numbers? Do you know what they can expect realistically in terms of how much money they're going to make? Because that way they can know that, hey, I want to give you this spot 2 weeks from now or 6 months from now, depending on what level they're at and how busy they are, right? And you want to be sure that you don't let them down. So you need to know that your offer actually works and it would be a good fit for that audience. And as far as personal experiences, I haven't done much in traditional JVs. What I have done is I would do bonus courses or bonus modules for courses that some of my friends and clients have already sold, and they say, hey, I would love to have a piece on publicity. Can you give us an extra telecall or a webinar or something, and we will give that as bonus content to them. And now it's putting me in front of audiences who are already, I know, buyers who are ready to invest in themselves, and they have in this particular course, and they get exposed to my message. Regular traditional JVs, I've done those for clients. For myself, that's just not something that I'm taking up right now.
I love the first thing you mentioned about knowing your numbers, because especially knowing your numbers, it's growing a lot lately. Everyone is asking for it, that you have tried your offer, you know the conversion rates, you know how every page is converting, you know how cold traffic is converting and all that stuff. And I think that's very important, especially when you want to reach out to a big player in your niche and have them promote your stuff to their audience.
You know, it's if you put yourself in their shoes, everybody is pitching them. They all want to have access to that person's list, right? So they now come to a point where they have to make a selection between what are the offers that they are willing to promote to their list. They can't do one every day. I mean, that would be a very pounding kind of business model. So there is only a certain number of slots that they will be doing JV calls for during the year. And it may be every week, every other week. It might be once a month, once every 2 months. Say if it's every 2 months, they have to pick 6 in that year. So they're gonna have to pick the 6 that make the most sense, that they truly believe in as a product or as a service, that makes sense for their audience, and it also is the most profitable.
Exactly. So it makes sense that they ask for numbers and the results that you had before when you tried this offer, both with cold traffic and with a warmer audience.
Correct.
So, Esther, before we hit the last part of this interview, share the best way people can find you online and connect further with you.
You can find me at my website at borntoinfluence.com. And there is also a really, really cool free resource if you would like to pick it up to be on shows like this, on podcasts, YouTube shows, even in traditional media. This will help you get there. It's a free media positioning checklist where you actually learn how to position yourself in a way that the media wants to interview you. And that's at borntoinfluence.com/gift.
Perfect. And we will share everything below. So you can find and click it and go through to the pages that Esther is talking about. So it's now time for the last part. And this part I call the unexpected 3, where I will ask you 3 random questions. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Number 1, what is one of your favorite resources or online tools right now that you are using?
I use Google Apps a lot. It's basically like Gmail, but it's for business, and it's very, very powerful.
I love it. Trying to spy on your neighborhoods. That's perfect. Number 2, what is the best way someone reached out to you online to ask for a favor?
They connected with me and they asked, say that, hey, can you hop on a call? I would love to help you with this particular project. There are so many. It's hard to pick one, but that's a way to do it.
Number 3, take us back to the day you decided to go your own way. With the experience that you have today and with the knowledge that you have right now, what one advice would you give to yourself back then?
To start building your network early. Start connecting with influencers and with high-level people. Start making friends, even if you don't know what the business is yet or what the offer. Establishing trust and rapport will take time, so the earlier you can start, the better.
This is perfect. And so many A players and influencers have talked about this before, as it is their number one mistake they did when they were first starting out, not building a network. So, and I think that's a perfect way to end this interview. So thank you, Esther. It's always a pleasure talking to you. So thank you for being here. And thank you guys for tuning in to the Box of Inspirations show.